Neil Moss, The Tragic Descent in Peak Cavern. In 1959, a 20-year-old Oxford student named Neil Moss entered England's Peak Cavern for an adventure that turned into a national tragedy. While descending into a vertical shaft, his rope got tangled, and he became wedged tight in a narrow limestone passage. His father joined the rescue efforts, crawling into the cave himself to speak to his son. Despite brave attempts by volunteers and expert cavers, Neil slipped deeper into the shaft, and oxygen levels fell dangerously low. For hours, he remained conscious, calmly speaking and hoping to be freed. Eventually, his body went limp, likely from suffocation. The decision was made to leave his body in the cave, and the shaft was permanently sealed. The pain and helplessness he endured in those final hours still haunt the caving community. Floyd Collins, The Sand Cave Collapse. Floyd Collins was a celebrated cave explorer from Kentucky who discovered the now famous Crystal Cave. In 1925, while exploring Sand Cave in hopes of connecting it to a tourist trail, a rock fell on his leg and pinned him inside a narrow passage, 55 feet below ground. What followed was one of the most dramatic rescue efforts in American history. Journalists camped out, and the entire nation followed the story live on the radio. Floyd was able to speak, sing hymns, and even crack jokes with rescuers for days. But delays, cave-ins, and freezing temperatures turned the rescue into a disaster. After 14 days trapped, Floyd died alone in the dark, likely of thirst, hypothermia, and despair. His body was eventually recovered, placed in a glass coffin, stolen, and finally returned to rest near the cave that took his life. David Sharp, frozen alone on Everest. While not a traditional cave, David Sharp's final resting spot was a rock hollow on Mount Everest that resembled a cave of death. In 2006, Sharp, a British climber, sat down to rest at a cave-like outcropping near the summit. He became severely frostbitten and disoriented from the cold and lack of oxygen. Over 30 climbers walked past him during their summit attempts, believing he was already dead or too far gone to save. In reality, Sharp was alive and conscious, quietly dying in freezing solitude. The cruelty of isolation and the physical agony of hypothermia made his death one of the most painful and controversial ever recorded on Everest. His story sparked an international debate on ethics and survival in extreme environments. Cecilio Lopez-Tercero, 12 Days of Pain Below the Surface. In 2014, veteran Spanish caver Cecilio Lopez-Tercero fell nearly 400 meters while exploring the Inti Machai cave in Peru, one of the most dangerous and remote cave systems in the world. He suffered severe spinal injuries, multiple fractures, and was immobilized in absolute darkness and silence. For 12 excruciating days, he lay there, unable to move, trapped in pain and uncertainty. An international team of over 100 rescuers, including elite cavers from across Europe and South America, worked around the clock to extract him. It was one of the most difficult cave rescues in history. While he survived, the level of sustained agony, helplessness, and the psychological horror of knowing he might never be found made it an experience that bordered on death itself. Yuri Lipski, The Blue Hole Descent into Madness. The Blue Hole in Dahab, Egypt, is one of the deadliest dive sites in the world, often referred to as the Divers' Cemetery. In 2000, Russian diver Yuri Lipski, equipped with a helmet-mounted camera, attempted a solo dive to a dangerous depth of over 300 feet. He suffered from nitrogen narcosis, a condition that causes hallucinations, confusion, and impaired judgment due to the immense underwater pressure. The chilling part, Yuri recorded everything. The video, which is still online, shows him descending too fast, panicking, and losing control. His last moments are a haunting mix of terror, convulsions, and silence as he died alone, surrounded by darkness, water pressure crushing his lungs. It's one of the most harrowing real-time death videos ever captured. Mossdale Caverns, drowned by the mountain. In June 1967, 10 young cavers entered Mossdale Caverns in North Yorkshire, UK, for what they thought would be a standard exploration. Unknown to them, heavy rains had begun falling outside. As they pushed deeper into the cave's narrow limestone tunnels, a flash flood swept through. 6 of them became trapped behind impassable waterfalls and flooded passageways. They screamed, scratched at the stone, and clawed for air pockets as freezing water filled the chamber. By the time rescuers arrived, it was too late. All 6 had drowned. The narrowness of the cave made recovery impossible, and the passage where they died was sealed forever. A watery grave that still echoes with mystery and sorrow. Rob Parker, The Final Breath. In Lechuguilla Cave in New Mexico is one of the most stunning and scientifically valuable caves on Earth, but it is also one of the most dangerous. Rob Parker, a seasoned caver, got trapped in one of the cave's tightest passages, known only to elite explorers. As he crawled through a thin vertical tube, he suddenly found himself stuck and upside down. He began to panic, and the fear triggered hyperventilation. The confined space had low oxygen levels, and the deeper he breathed, the less oxygen was available. He suffocated slowly, surrounded by ancient crystals and complete blackness. His body was recovered days later after a harrowing extraction. The story remains a reminder that beauty underground often hides danger beyond imagination.